how would an archaeologist remove that stone? Well, if they were to remove it at all, I understand archaeological theory says don't leave things in the ground, don't destroy the context.
That is totally true, because even the most careful archaeological excavation is destructive. For archaeologists, the context is as important as the thing that you're concerned about. The context, the place, tells you so much about what happened and maybe why it happened. But for an archaeologist, nowadays, in the olden days, archaeologists, as you probably have seen, would just go and take what they wanted with archaeological methods. But now archaeologists are a lot more aware. We've been told, it's not like we're so smart. We've been told that that is very disrespectful. And so now, before any ground disturbance or collection or excavation, we would consult with the descendant community. And that's true for Japanese American incarceration camps or concentration camps. It's true for indigenous sites. It's true for anything. That the past is important to all of us, but it's somebody's heritage. And so now I think the first step before an archaeologist would remove something like that would be consultation with the descendant community, whoever they are. Now, there's different ways you can excavate something, but the typical way an archaeologist would do it is to set up a grid, measure everything, document everything, photograph everything on the surface before you move anything. Because, as I said, archaeology, once you start excavating, you're destroying that context. Maybe you've seen these in archaeological excavation. Everything is square. Everything has to be square, because it was something like this stone. You would want to very carefully examine whatever concrete is around, because, Nancy, they might have written something in that concrete. Maybe they didn't have time to write something on the stone, but they might have put something on the concrete. And so you would document, where is that concrete? Because maybe the way they demolished the stone, maybe you could kind of reconstruct exactly how it was. I mean, they didn't go to all the trouble that the military and the WRA wanted them to go through, right? They just buried it. But it's possible they might have done so in a way that we could reconstruct the way it was erected. Little pieces of concrete stuck on the stone, or impressions in the concrete that would fit up against the stone. So it's like a puzzle. I guess it's a 3D puzzle that archaeologists would be really careful about. Okay, then they start digging. The grid, the square, would be big enough so you could dig without disturbing the stone itself. So, you wouldn't be sitting on the stone, digging up next to it or something. The grid would be big, and you would excavate in layers, and you would screen everything that came up, because maybe there'd be something there that would be another clue. Archaeologists are such optimists. We're always thinking there's going to be a clue in this dirt. And so we screen everything. Maybe there's a coin somebody put in, or a button, or maybe it's accidental. Maybe somebody lost something while they were, doing this work. Anyway, so we would go down in 10 centimeter levels. That's kind of standard, unless you see some change in the soils that would warrant a different stratigraphy or examination. And then you would leave the stone right where it is, and then dig out around it so you could see. And the reason you need to have these square walls that I was saying, or square pits and straight walls, is because you could probably see the original pit, the outline of the original pit. Like there'll be, like the regular dirt will have strata from when the sands were laid down, or in the lake, the different lake beds. But when they dig a pit, it makes a pit in there. Then when it refills, it's not going to look the same. It's going to be pit shaped in the sidewall. You'll be able to see it. You'll be able to see okay, nice layers, and then all of a sudden, big jumble in the sidewall. And so I I would be curious, how big of a pit did they make to bury this? And what else did they put in there? Did they put a memento in there? Anyway, so I'm real concerned about the pit, not just the rock, right? So then, am I going on too long?
No. No. In fact, somebody I know said, "Gee, are his ashes in there?" Because after the funeral, he was cremated in Ogden,
Yeah,
Utah, and there is record saying that, "What should I do with the ashes?" The inmate who had possession of them was trying to find the next of kin, and this person I know said, "Well, they could have tossed some ashes in there. We don't know." And I thought, well, I guess that's true.
yeah, yeah. I think that that could be true. His ashes could be in there. They could be at the bottom of that pit.
And I guess there's technologies which allow you to recognize human remains.
Yes,
But
yes,
of course, that would have to be done at the time of the excavation.
yes. And you probably could have recognized some of the ashes anyway. They're not like wood ash. Bone ash is different and
Mhm.
recognizable in excavations. A lot of cultures cremate their dead, and so it's common that you have to find cremated remains. Um, so yeah, that would be after you moved the stone. But archaeologically, what you would have wanted to do after you had dug down further than the stone all around it, you would it's called pedestaling. Like you have this, like say this is the stone and here's the dirt underneath it. You would leave the stone there and then you would like dig around a little bit around the edges because the rest of your pit's down here. And then you could wrap a tie around it and then lift it straight up. You want to lift it straight up because if they had written something on there, you don't want to rub it against the dirt or sand. It might erase it. What if they wrote it in charcoal or water soluble paint or something? Dragging it would not be a good thing, I don't think. And so you would lift it straight up using a tripod, maybe, like what the gardeners might have done. Have it go straight up. And then after you remove the stone, you want to very carefully remove the dirt that was underneath it and look for things like bone ashes or mementos or anything. So excavate that slowly and carefully and also screen it. So all of the sediments from your pit would be screened so that you could see if there's any artifacts in there.